Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. So happy to have you guys here. Before we get into today's episode, I want to briefly share about my brand new program. The doors are now open for Serve, more specifically Serve 2.0. I ran this program a couple years back and it is back. It is completely revamped, hence the 2.0. And I am so excited. This is my first big group program in a while, and it is a business program. It is essentially my business school for spiritual bad bitches. This is for the woman who wants to have a really unique brand. They want to stand out online, they want to be iconic. And with that brand, they want to serve their people. So, this is for service based businesses, coaches, healers, VAs, social media managers, anyone that's creating a online service-based client experience. This is the space. And not only are we going to be creating a brand and building tons of confidence and focusing on the energy piece of showing up and being magnetic, you're also going to be learning all of my strategies of making money that have made me over $750,000 in sales in the past couple years in my business. And this is not just like a little course where I share with you what I know. This is a 6-month experience. Like I said, I'm kind of calling it like a business school for service providers, for my spiritual bad bitches. This is 6 months of lessons, but also intimate group coaching, like very intimate, hot seat, deep dive coaching sessions every single month. We've got the group chat, you get lifetime access, and we also have an in-person day at the very end of this program. So if you've been wanting to build and grow a service-based business from the heart, filled with service, but also sprinkling in some spicy, bold, unique, iconic energy, this is the vibe. Serve 2.0, doors close July 14th. And yeah, I'm so excited. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. The link to learn more and also to apply will be in the show notes. But my DMs and my email is always open if you want to have a chat and see if this program is right for you. All right, I think that's everything. And now we can get into the episode. Hello, guys. Welcome back to Breaking Butterfly. I am so grateful to have you guys here. Today, we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome. And I love talking about imposter syndrome. I feel very strongly about this one because I think it's such a silly thing to experience. And if you're not looking for blunt, very blunt advice on how to get over imposter syndrome, this is not the podcast for you. This is not the place for you because I am going to be a bit blunt and a bit just kind of I want to shake you out of it. I want to if you're experiencing imposter syndrome, I just want to yank you out. So that's the vibe for today. And we're going to be going over 5 different kind of pointers on how to get yourself out of imposter syndrome and why this is so important. I see so many business owners and especially coaches experiencing this. I mean, everyone in every industry experiences this. So this is going to be resonant for anybody and everybody. But obviously, I work with coaches and I see this all the time. And it just holds people back so much. Not only from, actually working with clients and feeling confident to work with clients and actually getting their clients results because they actually believe they can get their client results. But you're never even going to get to that point to get a client if you're showing up in the energy of I don't know if I should be even talking about this. Am I just stupid? I don't know what I'm talking about. That is the least magnetic energy that you can hold. That is if someone was showing up online in the energy of I don't even know if I can help you. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's just not the vibe for so many obvious reasons. So if you are showing up to a new workplace, if you're showing up in a new position, if you're showing up on social media, you've got to show up with confidence. This is your most important skill. It is literally shown through studies that it doesn't matter It doesn't matter how good you are at something. If you don't show that through confidence, no one will ever see it. You have to have confidence. So we're going to talk about today specifically about how to beat imposter syndrome. And I think we'll just get right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is that you first need to recognize that it is just, there is a lot of truth in the thoughts that come with imposter syndrome. 100%. I think it's totally fair to ask yourself, like, am I qualified enough? It's totally fair to feel a little bit like an imposter when you're first doing something and to kind of like, question it and feel like, can I really do this? That's very fair. And I think honestly, that's a level of self awareness that I don't think is entirely negative. That being said, if you work through these thoughts and you just continue to feel this feeling and it keeps holding you back and it keeps being this thing that like you're sabotaging yourself because you just keep feeling like this imposter, even though you know that you're not, right? You've worked through that self-awareness and you're like, okay, I know I'm not an imposter. There's a certain point when you have to kind of recognize this is just a form of self-sabotage. And I am subconsciously trying to protect myself right now. And that's what all of these things are. All of these like kind of roadblocks, and why confidence is so important is because roadblocks like self-doubt, imposter syndrome, uh, you know, procrastination, perfectionism, all of these things that feel really real, a lot of times it's actually just something that is being created, like these limiting beliefs. It's being created very sneakily by your subconscious to stop you from taking action because you're afraid of what's on the other side of action. A lot of things that we do as humans is just to stop us from taking action in a way that's going to change our life. And a lot of times it's better our life, but even bettering our lives is changing our lives. And so we're constantly trying to protect ourselves. We're constantly trying to stop ourselves from creating any type of change. And imposter syndrome is one of the ways we do that. If I'm feeling this imposter syndrome, if I'm not showing up fully to my job or online, to my marketing, to my clients, if I'm not showing up fully, nothing can really happen, right? I'm staying safe. I'm playing it safe. But if you're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming that you don't want to play it safe and you don't want to play it small and you want to break out of that. So part of it really is just the true awareness and realizing and keeping it in your awareness that when that imposter syndrome pops up, you can kind of notice it and go, oh, okay, yes, maybe I'm feeling a little bit like this and a little bit like that, but is part of the reason this is coming up just because I'm holding myself back a little bit, and this is a good reason to hold myself back? Like, what's a better reason to not go out there and find clients than to tell yourself, I'm not good enough to take on a client, right? Even if you 100% are, your brain is going to create that feeling so that you don't take on the client, right? Because you don't want to experience rejection, or you don't want to experience confrontation, or you don't want to experience more money because then maybe you might lose the money. And like, there is a plethora, there's a spider web of fears that come up when that happens. So sometimes, the goal isn't to completely get rid of that imposter feeling. Sometimes it's to recognize it. Not always, right? But sometimes for some of us, it's to recognize it and just realize, oh, like actually, this is just my brain doing its job, and I'm going to take my power back from it, right? So that's the first step. Realize that your imposter syndrome is an excuse not to move forward. And with that, what I would want to ask you is like, what are you so afraid of? What are you so afraid of? This is a huge piece of what I do with my clients, and how they build so much confidence is working through what they're actually afraid of and coming to terms with it and coming to acceptance with it, because that's where, you take your power back from the fear. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about when it comes to overcoming imposter syndrome is like one of my favorite things to talk about, because this is where I'm going to be a little blunt with you and a little like I hope this wakes you up. Okay? When you are having imposter syndrome, it is because you are trying to be someone that you are not. You are not being authentic and you're not being genuine because you're trying to pretend that you know more than you do, right? That's what creates that imposter feeling. Like, oh, people are going to know that, like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Well, then don't try to act like you know more than you know, or don't try to do things that you don't feel ready for. Or, of course, there's a certain level of like stretching yourself and doing things before you feel ready. 100%. Obviously, that's like a huge part of what I preach as well, is like start before you're ready. But you can start before you're ready and still be like very genuine and honest and transparent about it. So a lot of my clients, they'll be like afraid to take on their first client because they've never taken on other clients before. So they're trying to be like, oh, how do I like be the coach that's like taken on a bunch of clients before and like, kind of like pretend I've like taken more clients so that this person will want to work with me. And I say, why not just tell them you're going to be my very first client? Can any imposter syndrome exist in that? Maybe you give them like a little discount because you're like, hey, actually, you're going to be my very first client. I'm so excited. I'm a newer coach. Or, when you're in a new position, just be honest about it. This is my first time in this position. And then just tell them your intentions with it. And how can you go wrong with that? It's so authentic. It's so genuine. With my first clients, I wasn't like, I know everything. I know what I'm doing. Like, I took on a couple of clients for free when I first started my business. And I told them, like, I've never coached anyone before. You're going to be kind of my guinea pig. That's why I'm doing it for free. I'm still learning. I didn't have to pretend to be farther along than I was, right? I just was teaching what I knew. I was just completely transparent about who I was, where I was, what I was doing, what my intentions were. There was no pretending. Okay. So if you're a coach and you don't know everything yet and you're not an expert, don't try to be. Just coach the people who are where you were and bring them up to speed, bring them to where you are. Actually, it's much better in the online space to be more specific and to help someone with a very specific problem that you've already dealt with than to try to like help people who are ahead of you and help them with like everything, or like to talk about everything, or like be an expert. Don't be an expert. You're just starting your business and people will still want to work with you. That's the thing that might be like the craziest thing to you, is that people will still want to work with you. People still want to listen to you. People still want to read your content. People, like, you know what I mean? You're you say you're managing a team at work, you've never been a manager. People are still going to look up to you, still going to listen to you, even if, you're not the person you think you should be. So just be honest. Just be like, you know what I mean? For me, I don't understand how imposter syndrome can exist if you're just being genuine. I hope this is landing for everyone. I feel like I could like go on and on and on and on about this. But just be where you are. Be where you are. With that, the next thing I want to talk about is knowing your strengths. I think, with all of this and, being where you are, a lot of that comes from comparing yourself to other people and comparing yourself to other people's strengths. So you feel like a fraud, or you feel like you don't belong. You feel like you don't know what you're talking about because you're looking at somebody else and what they've created and their strengths and who they are. And so you feel like you're lacking because you're comparing what you're lacking to someone else's strengths. When in reality, first of all, you just need to stay in your own lane. And also, you need to not compare what you lack to someone else's strengths. You need to look at your strengths, right? And really tap into that and really you know, as I always say, accept who you are not, amplify who you are. Accept that you might not know everything about this. Accept that you might be a little weird in this way. Accept whatever is making you feel like that imposter, and lean more into your strengths instead. Look at who you are, look at what makes you unique, look at the things that you bring to the table, and take a step forward with those first. Okay. So there have been things in my life and my business where, yeah, I felt like I didn't fully fit in, or I wasn't good enough, or I was, like I didn't know what I was talking about. But it's only because I was trying to do what other people were doing. When I finally like just took a step back and stayed in my genius and did what I knew I was good at, that's when I really felt like, okay, actually I know what the fuck I'm doing. An example of that is like um an example of that is like content creation. Like I would look at other people's like content, and I would kind of like create content similar, not copying or anything, but like I would create similar content, and I just felt like I was like so bad at it. And then I realized, actually, I'm not supposed to create content like that at all. It doesn't even match my personality. Actually, I'm supposed to create content like this. Actually, I'm like supposed to do like the podcast, is where I like really thrive. I don't feel like an imposter here at all on the podcast. Like, this is my jam. This is my place. It's so authentic to me. When we're talking about know your strengths, it is, part of that authenticity piece. It's just like being you, being who you are. And when I try to like step into other places where it's just not authentically me, but I feel like I need to for some reason, or maybe I'm just like trying it out, there can be that like feeling of it feels unnatural, right? It doesn't feel natural. You don't feel in your element at all. So it creates that feeling. So stay where you're meant to be. Stay in the places that feel good. Be in the places that feel authentic. Focus on your strengths. Stop comparing yourself to others. And so you can really tap into, yeah, like I know who the fuck I am. I know, oh, sorry, my cat just jumped off me and clawed me. I know who the fuck I am. I know what I'm talking about. I'm meant to be here. Like, and I know this. So know your strengths. Okay, now the last two that I have to speak about, these are also a little bit blunt, very blunt. When it comes to imposter syndrome, and you're thinking about yourself, and am I good enough, and do I know what I'm talking about, and do people think that I know what I'm talking about? This is specifically for service-based business. Like if you are a coach, a service provider, VA, healer, social media manager, blah, blah, blah. You need to hear this. It is not about you. It is about them, aka your clients or your audience or whoever you are serving and creating for. Stop making it so much about you and start making it about them. This is why, like, yeah, this is why, like, doing charity changes, like, so many people's lives, like, doing charity work or doing some type of service for someone else makes you feel so good, right? This is why you feel so lit up and so fulfilled when you, like, see your client have this transformation, have this breakthrough. Is because that's what it's about. It's about helping other people. To help other people, we have to market ourselves, right? So then it gets messy. The ego comes in. We get all in our head. We get, all in the analytics and the statistics and the numbers and the engagement and the this and the that and the money, and, the ego comes in. But think about how it feels when you really are just in service of someone. You're just helping someone. Like, in the littlest or the biggest ways, you're just doing something for someone else. You forget about yourself completely. Like, that is the vibe. That is the vibe. And we lose that a lot. And if you think about imposter syndrome, it's so selfish. It's so like me, 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 me. What about me? And you might be thinking, okay, well, what if, I'm having this imposter syndrome and it's actually kind of valid because like I want to make sure I'm not an imposter in terms of like getting my client results. Like I want to make sure I'm getting my clients results. Absolutely. But then that's not really like imposter syndrome, right? Imposter syndrome is like kind of this negative energy or loop that you kind of get lost in around feeling like you lack something. If you really just care about getting your client results, that's like a completely different experience. That's just working on your offering. That's like getting feedback from your clients. There's action to take, positive action to take from that place. But when you're like in imposter syndrome and it's like holding you back and you're feeling bad about yourself and you're feeling some type of way about yourself and you're not taking action on it, that's where you're being selfish and you need to get out of your head and back into your heart, come from this place of service and focus on serving your people. Anytime I get lost, and this is why my program that I talked about in the little ad at the beginning of this episode, that's why that program is called Serve, is because anytime I get lost, I get in my ego, I start overthinking, I start self-sabotaging, I bring it back to service. That's how I know I've gotten way too in the ego and into the logical, and I have to bring it back to the spiritual and to the heart and just think, what can I do to serve my people? What can I post that would help someone today? What conversation can I have that would help? Like it's coming back to the heart and just how can I serve them? How can I help them? It's like so it can be so simple. So, yes, get out of your ego, get back into your soul, take the focus off of you and put it back onto them, the people that you're serving. Okay? And with that, I was just talking about like taking action. Once you get into action, that imposter syndrome doesn't really exist. Really, nothing that you're struggling with in terms of your confidence exists once you get into action. This is why it's one of the 4 building blocks in my formula that I teach for confidence. Action, it's so important. If you're overthinking and you get into action, overthinking is gone. If you're in self-doubt and you take action, if you're in imposter syndrome, if you're in perfectionism, if you're in procrastination, like action is the antidote for all of those things. Antidote, is that the right word? Anecdote? I think it might be anecdote, not antidote. I'm not sure. Forgive me for that one. So that's the 5th piece that I wanted to talk about today. And how do we beat imposter syndrome? Is to take action. If you are scared that you don't know enough, go learn. Go read a book. Go do something about it. If you're afraid that you're not actually getting your clients the results that you want, ask them. Ask them for feedback. Send out a feedback form. If you're worried that you don't have enough experience to do what you need to do, go get some experience. Do some free work. Build a portfolio. I've worked with so many like photographers, that work for free because they want to get photos to build their portfolio. I've worked with clients for free or on like scholarship discounts because I wanted to get more experience. If you are in a new position at work and you're feeling like the imposter, you don't know what you're doing, ask questions, ask for an extra training. Again, read a fucking book. Like I told you I was going to be a little bit blunt. If you are feeling imposter syndrome and it's holding you back, do something about it so that you don't feel like an imposter. Do something that's going to build your confidence. Learn a skill, watch some YouTube videos, listen to a podcast. The amount of like live coaching calls that I've listened to learn how to coach well, you know what I mean? Like, don't just let yourself sit in the fear and be like, oh, but like, I just feel like an imposter and like, I don't know. And like, well, do something about it. Don't just sit in it, right? I think this is why I love to talk about imposter syndrome, is because it does bring out like my fiery side And I'm just like, this shouldn't exist. This shouldn't be holding you back. Obviously, like I said, there's truth in things that hold us back. Perfectionism. Maybe you really do want to make it like really good. Imposter syndrome. Maybe you really do feel like, you're at the beginning of your journey. You feel a little bit like an imposter. Self-doubt. Maybe, some of the doubts you have are really real and have some truth to them from what you have experienced. There's things to work through, right? But a lot of imposter syndrome specifically, I just feel like is really stupid because of these reasons. And we'll go over them one more time, right? Imposter syndrome is kind of just an excuse. Number 2, just be where you are. Stop trying to be someone you're not. Be genuine, be transparent, be honest. Probably won't feel like an imposter. Be in integrity, right? Know your strengths. Stop comparing your lacks to someone else's strengths. Be in your strengths. Make a list of your strengths. Like take time to really acknowledge those and own them and embody them. Number 4, heart over head. It's not about you, it's about them. Make it less about you and more about them. And number 5, take action and do something about it. If you're feeling like an imposter, do something. Okay. I genuinely feel like these 5 tips, pointers that we just chatted about, bullets, will completely eradicate your imposter syndrome. Poof, goodbye, see ya, wouldn't want to be you. So I hope you enjoyed these. I hope that you really take something from this and feel a shift when that imposter syndrome comes up. I really hope that this shifts something for you so that you can stop holding yourself back and take action. Okay. Oh, and what's a baby step I could give you guys? We've been back on the baby step vibe. The smallest little thing that you could do to start shifting this in the next 24 hours. Write a list of your strengths. Write a list of things that you truly bring to the table. And if you feel like you've already done that, you've really like tapped into your gifts and who you are, a different baby step I would give you is to get some more experience. It's kind of a big baby step, but if you don't feel like super confident in your role right now, take on, a free training, take on a free client, take on or do like maybe like a flash sale for whatever it is you offer to really just show yourself that you're not an imposter and that you know what you're doing. And when you do this, ask for feedback, whatever it is that you create and whoever it is it's for, ask them for feedback. Ask them to give you a testimonial, right? This is going to help build your confidence and make you see that you really do know what the fuck you're doing. Okay, cool. And I think I'll end things off by just reminding you guys that the doors are open for my program Serve 2.0. It is all about building an iconic brand. It's all about building magnetic confidence, really showing up in your it girl energy, being magnetic to your audience and your potential clients. And it is about using real strategy to make money. It's about actually serving people, bringing people into your offers, how to create an incredible offer and to sell it effectively so that you can have a full-time income in your service-based business. So it's going to be pretty epic. I'm super excited. Again, if you have questions, please let me know. And yeah, I hope everyone has a beautiful week. I am releasing this podcast on the 4th, so happy Independence Day to my Americans. Love you guys so much. Have a beautiful weekend, and I'll catch you guys in my next episode. Bye.